Hello, this is the Reading on the Rocks podcast. We are Kelsey,
Chandler,
and Morgan. We like to drink and read books and then talk about them. Welcome to the group chat.
Okay, hello. Welcome to our podcast. We're Kelsey, Chandler, and Morgan, and we like to read and talk about it. And we're also sisters-in-law. And we have a group chat that we talk about our books in, and so we decided to make it a podcast. Welcome to it.
Welcome everyone.
Happy
to have you. Happy to have you.
So the idea of our podcast is that we're going to talk about what we're drinking, some alcoholic beverages, and then we'll talk about the books that we're reading or the book that we are all collectively reading. We're only going to read it in like segments so that we can really deep dive into the book and kind of dissect it and have theories and questions and icks and quotes and things that we love about it throughout the entire book and see how it changes from the first pod to the last pod for each book. So to start us out, okay. I'm Chandler. I'm drinking some Sprite with orange juice and tequila. And just a little bit about us. For book vibes, I'll read just about anything. I'll give anything a try. I very rarely will DNF a book. And my favorite book is probably what got me back into reading, thanks to these ladies, which is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas.
Beautiful.
Okay, I am Kelsey. I am drinking a Sprite and orange juice with coconut liqueur. And my reading vibes are a little bit all over the place. Mostly us three discuss fantasy with romance or romantic fantasy. But we are kind of open to doing some other things. I really love fantasy. I love high fantasy. I also like a good historical. Very recently got into some contemporary romance, but that's about it. But my favorite book of all time is Pride and Prejudice, because I read it when I was 12, and I have read every iteration and remake that there is for that book, and I will stand by that to the death.
Beautiful.
I will.
Well, I'm Morgan. I'm drinking, I'm a vodka girl, so a vodka Sprite right now. I'll read mostly fantasy with some sort of romance element. I'll do like a contemporary in a pinch. But yeah, I'm a big believer in DNFing. So if it's not worth it, then I'm not going to read it. So, but yeah, my favorite book for sure, without a doubt, hands down, Throne of Glass. And I read it before it was cool, so just need to get that in there.
I read it when there was only 2 books out.
Yep, me too. I have, except for, I think the first 3 are hardcover. But I
think I read Crescent City 1 and 2 before I read Throne of Glass. And I only read it because we were at my grandma's house one day. And we were both talking about Sarah J. Maas. And I was like,
yeah.
Wait, I want to be part of this club.
I think it was at the ranch. We were all talking about it because she had the Orange Tree book, and so it stemmed from that.
Yes.
What is it called? Priority of an Orange Tree, I think.
Priory of the Orange Tree. Yes. Shannon. Shout out, girl. Love you.
Shout out. But yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely what sparked the group chat. And
definitely.
That's where it started. Yeah, we almost exclusively talk about books now. So welcome to our group chat.
Welcome to the group chat. I think so. Our first book. Have we discussed our first book yet? I don't think we mentioned
No,
that.
we just kind of
So the first book that we are going to get into is Hollow Heathens, Book of Blackwell, Tales of Weeping Hollow, by what's her name? Nicole.
Hold on.
Pull the records. Pull the tapes.
Hold the tape. Quick disclaimer. 2 of us are moms, so if we run out real fast, it's because we got to put a binky back in. Okay, we read Hollow Heathens, chapter 1 through 15, and the title chapter.
Bellamy and Siri. Secrets of Bellamy and Siri.
The Secret of Bellamy and Siri.
Yes. Okay, let's get into it, y'all.
Oh, I liked it. I definitely feel like we picked a weird spot to finish because I felt like it was just starting to get into the nitty gritty as we finished. And I was like, okay, I need to keep reading. But we hadn't discussed it yet. So I was like, okay, I have to stop. Definitely. I liked it, but I am more on the fence. Personal hangups of being kind of against urban fantasy. Real world situations, I really start to question what everyone's intentions are or what everyone knows about the world. How many people in this world know about these spirits and ghosts in this weird little town that you can't leave ever, and it's a witch coven? And I just start questioning everyone's decision making, and definitely our main character Fallon and her decision making. And I don't understand. Masked people are no big deal to her, apparently. Also seeing spirits, totally part of normal life. Apparently.
Yeah, so for anyone that hasn't read it, it's pretty much about, it kind of gives, like, I like to think it's Halloween Town vibes. So it's this gal that comes from Texas, and she's supposed to not know anything about this world, and she has some kind of hereditary ties to it. And there's two witch covens in this town, and once you get there, if you're accepted into the town by the town, then you can't leave, essentially. And so she just drives into this town one day knowing nothing about it. And that's your kind of hang up, Kels, right? Is
Yes.
Her just ability to accept everything and not question how ridiculous it is.
Yes, absolutely. She just rolls into this town at 3 a.m. Everyone's out and about. She remarks on it, and she's like, "Seems strange, but okay." And she just keeps going. And then she is on the beach. She sees a stranger in a mask, and just decides to go down and say hello. And I don't understand her decision making in that. And when all of the Hollow Heathens, which is what the 4 guys are called, are masked and they come out of the woods, and our male main character Julian is wearing a horned mask, her reaction is, who are they? What the fuck is going on? As it should be. So, you really start to question this, especially given the fact that Fallon was kind of hated and belittled by everyone around her when she was growing up because of the spooky vibes she had. So it just seems strange that she would go and try to make friends with masked people she's never met when generally everyone hated her.
I feel like she only gave spooky vibes though because of her appearance. So like she is definitely like the way I see it in my from the description is albino with piercing ice blue eyes. And that's a touch spooky. I can admit that. Definitely, yeah.
Masks are so strange. Like I'm never walking up to a person with a mask on. Are you kidding?
No,
that is so awful.
Not a horned mask.
No, especially in the woods. Why are we in the woods?
That's the other part. Like, okay, they're on the street and they were just walking and it was like a thing. Okay, yeah, maybe go up and say hi or whatever.
but they're in the woods. And you're going to go up and talk to them. Like, okay, people get murdered. People. Like,
Yes.
So, if you don't know, the reason they're all masked is because they are cursed. And if you look upon any of their faces, you see your worst fear and you die.
You die. Dead. Gone.
Except for Fallon. She's the only one who's been able to look at their face and not die.
Mm-hmm.
Seems sneaky.
So let's dive into the theories a little bit here, because there are definitely some, like, within what we've read, there's definitely some foreshadowing that's like super obvious.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So
talk about the obvious foreshadowing.
Hit it, Jan.
Oh, I don't know. You hit it.
I hit it. So I'm pretty hung up on this Ferris wheel that keeps coming around. This Ferris wheel is so strange. And there's no context in it at all. Like, it's just like she's the only one that can see it. And then it's briefly mentioned in Julian's little episode when he looks in the mirror and spooks himself without the mask on.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't know what is going on with the Ferris wheel, but I'm thinking because she's the only one who can see it, it might have something to do with her dad. I don't know. Her dad was like one of the only people, her and her dad were one of the only people who were able to get out of this town again.
Yeah, but Julian alluded to that. He was like, they had to do it under very specific circumstances.
Yeah. It was very, very strange for someone to leave. So I feel like maybe the Ferris wheel has something to do with that.
Interesting.
But
with their departure and their ability to leave.
Yeah.
My hang up is the boy.
The little toddler boy.
Yeah,
boy
the spooky little ghost boy.
Yes.
And it's not a spirit that she sees, because she also sees spirits, but this one will just like pop up randomly and she chases it. She follows it.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm going to follow this. Like, la-di-da-da.
Yeah, did you guys catch that scene where she's like, I'm absolutely terrified of this little boy, but he's not going to go away unless I follow him? Okay,
yes,
I get the logic thing, Kels. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yes, the logic is not there.
On that one, logic is missing.
I have to say, little boy, spirits or ghosts or whatever he is definitely high on my, like, I don't like this. It's just, it's definitely not something I want to read about. It's so creepy to me. But yeah, she just follows him through the woods and comes upon Julian surrounded by dead ravens. So...
Yeah. So I think
a win
because he had... We don't know.
Up again, but I don't remember what it was that he showed up again, but it was surrounded by Julian.
Yes, he definitely has something to do with Julian. I think he's a sibling.
Yes, I'm hesitant on the sibling train as well, because he has a nickname for him.
Yeah.
And he's a dark-haired boy, isn't he?
I think so. I think he was a dark-haired boy. So maybe it's either... Well, it'd be weird if he was himself. He wouldn't have a nickname for himself. Unless, I know his mom called him the same nickname. Called Julian the same nickname. I noticed that. So it's either himself projecting and weirdly talking about himself with his nickname, or it's like a sibling who knows him by that nickname.
And it also shows up in Fallon's world.
Yeah. Strange.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Goosebumps now.
I think that because Julian's showed a little bit of his, I don't know, I think they refer to it as like a spirit magic or something, his abilities. And he within those chapters, he's kind of showed a little bit of it. And I'm wondering if he killed his brother. And that's kind of the tie.
Oh, yeah. Like maybe he accidentally did it and Fallon can see spirits.
Yeah, and that's why he's such a little tormented soul. Or maybe it connects to the Ferris wheel.
Oh, could be. Yeah. For
It's your
sure.
biggest,
Yeah.
biggest
Like,
fear. And
Julian almost killed that girl and like didn't even realize what he was doing.
yeah.
Like Fallon tackled him and he literally had no idea what was going on.
And like
really.
he came out of it.
He came out of it and he was like, oh, what did I do? So there's definitely that. He has like memory loss and no control of his body sometimes. So maybe he accidentally killed his siblings. And that's why him and his mom also have a weird relationship.
Yeah.
You can tell that right away.
Very strange relationship.
He
they
never,
have. They
I don't
definitely-
think we've ever had like a interaction between the two of them at all.
No, they did.
Like they were.
Council meeting.
Oh, okay.
In the
That's right.
Yeah, but they weren't like
It wasn't a solo one-on-one interaction, but she was there, he was there. They talked to each other in this big group, I would say.
Yeah, and she kind of was trying to rein him in or whatever, but that's not much of a relationship. I mean, she kind of had to be there. We don't see them together anywhere else.
Yeah. It was more of like a defendant jury kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like not a very homey mother-son relationship. And he never calls her mom.
No, he calls her by her first name, Agatha.
Yeah.
Even in his POVs, he's like, Agatha.
I noticed that. Very strange.
So something's up. Something's up with that relationship. For sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Chandler, you had said something about the letters. You had a theory on the letters.
The grandpa letters.
Oh, I have so many theories. I couldn't remember which one we were talking about. Because you mentioned dad earlier, and I have a dad theory as well. Yep. But we'll go into the grandpa theory. So the grandpa theory, I don't think so. The reason she comes to this town, I don't know if we went over this, but the reason she comes to this town is because her grandpa is writing her letters, and he tells her like where to find the key to his house, how to get to the town, how to find it, and she says her grandpa's writing her these letters, but she gets there and he's like, I don't want you here. Why are you here? Kind of like telling her to leave, but obviously she can't leave because she's in the town now, and you can't leave once you're in. And I don't think her grandpa wrote the letters. I think that somebody in that town wrote the letters, or like it was preordained in some universe that these letters were going to get written to her from him. I really don't think he wrote the letters though.
Yeah. I love it.
He's very, very adamant that he did not want her there. He's like,
more of like a selfless kind of thing. Like he wants what's best for her, and this town has did him so dirty that he doesn't want her to be a part of it.
Yeah. He doesn't want her stuck there, it seems like, is what it is.
Yeah.
But that makes sense that he wouldn't have written the letters. So obviously someone else may be involved in this whole situation of getting her to that town and trying to keep her there.
Yeah. And but in the letters, and she says, the key is exactly where he said it would be in the letters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is setting this woman up to be trapped in this town?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
So
she does try to leave once.
Yeah.
She does try to leave once and drive with her Mini Cooper.
That's a hot topic. It gets mentioned a lot.
Mini Cooper.
The Mini Cooper.
The Mini Cooper.
She tried to drive it out of town and she wrecked it. And she
got
just
a cat out of the situation.
Yeah, and got a cat out of the situation, but then she just walked her little happy butt back to town. So I don't know. Something is obviously, or someone is keeping her there.
Yeah. There's definitely an element of prophecy, because that last chapter, it deals with, correct me if I'm wrong, but a Blackwell boy, the Bellamy character, he's Blackwell.
Yes.
And then a white-haired gal.
Yes.
So this, and they're obviously romantic characters together, and so that's definitely it's like a prophecy. And then everyone in the town seems to fucking kind of know her and know her vibe. It just seems like it's So for sure there's some kind of prophecy happening, but I'm wondering if the letters, I'm sure the letters tie into it, but I don't know how. Is it a person? Is it like being, because that wouldn't be the
Is it
first
a
time we've seen
spirit?
something like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, the Blackwell, and definitely something with the Blackwell family as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And then there's all these, well, like you said, the what's the one coven? The sea coven is, all trying to get her to basically join the coven, but not overtly. They're just like forcing her into it.
Yeah.
And like she
They're
has
like,
the
you're
choice
part of
between
it.
two covens because her mom is the lower class coven and her dad was the higher class coven, the sea coven. And so it's like she could choose which coven she wanted to go to, but the sea coven's like, nah, you're ours. Yeah. Basically everyone in town is like, oh, she's
Automatically this one.
she's property of the sea coven.
Yeah,
So
I think
gotta
they
leave
used
her
the
alone.
word property, didn't they?
They do.
That was my
Property's
ick.
crazy.
Property is a wild take, but
Yeah.
they're sticking
Hot take
to it.
property.
Property. So many people. And Kane. Oh, Kane as a
Kane's
whole
fucking
character
gross.
is terrible.
Yeah, he gives Tamlin.
Yes.
And Dane.
Yep. And Dane. He definitely gives
And Dane, yuck. I think worse than Dane. Dane has a little bit of redeeming qualities. I haven't
Dane
seen
does
anything from
redeem
Kane.
a little bit. Yes.
No.
I don't think for Kane. And we find out through Julian's POV that Kane has magical abilities that make you feel a certain way towards him. He's like seducing Fallon on the dance
Via
floor.
her magic.
Via magic.
Or his magic.
Yeah.
So sketchy.
Okay, before we go into character developments, I have to talk about my last theory.
Okay.
It's the dad.
Go for
The
it.
dad.
So this girl Fallon, she sees spirits as they cross into wherever they go. It doesn't really say if it's like the other world or the universe or heaven or hell. It doesn't really say that at all in the series or in the book. It's just that she sees the spirits after they die. And she mentions that she never sees her dad's spirit. And her dad is supposedly dead. I don't think he's dead. I think he's alive. If she has never seen his spirit and he is the only spirit she's never seen, he has got to be alive somehow, some way.
Yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he's hiding from this whole situation.
Ooh, maybe he wrote the fucking letters.
I literally thought. I was like, her dad wrote them.
Yeah. She must
Totally
fulfill the
could've
prophecy.
That would be wild. She's got to come back to fulfill this prophecy.
Uh-huh.
That would be a turn for sure. Chandler said her ick of property. Anything more to say about your property ick?
I quoted it.
It was in Julian's POV. I had it was in Julian's POV, and he says, Julian like saved her from falling off the bar. Like randomly, he saw her and he was like, she was about to fall off the bar, and he catches her, and Kane, this gross little shit, says, "Keep your demented hands off her, Blackwell." Kane spat, courage seeping from his drunken pores. "She's with us. Morgan's our sacred sea territory." And then the chapter following it, right? And the chapter following it, she hangs up on it too. She's like, "Sacred sea territory. Like that part, she really hangs up on, and it's a big ick for her. Also a big ick for me, but it's something that she really hangs up on, and I think it makes her distrust Kane. Yes, just enough to not get trapped under Kane's spell.
Does she seem? I have a question for you guys. This is kind of off topic, but does she seem influenced by his abilities? Because I get this vibe that she's kind of immune to it.
Yes, I don't think she is.
I noticed that we got Julian's POV of that whole situation, but we did not get her POV of that situation. So I don't think that she was falling for his spell or whatever, because it does talk about her being home later, and it's just like normal. So I think she's immune to it. And she was just like going
talking about her hangover.
Yeah, she was talking about a hangover, and that's
and
it.
how he called her the territory, and she asked her grandpa about it.
Yeah,
and her grandpa kind of just waves her off.
But, and she hides in the fortune teller tent too, when he's like,
she hides from them.
Yeah, like if you were under the influence of some kind of brain, whatever the fuck he does, then wouldn't you be influenced to stay with him instead of like wanting to like actively hide from this guy? I don't know.
For sure.
Just a thought.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we get really for sure that she's not under his influence by the way she like hangs up on the territory part. Like, she told me I was his territory. Yeah. I'm not anybody's territory.
Yeah. Exactly. At least she's got that. Terrible. I did get an ick from our mailman main character, Julian. When they're off in the woods together, he licks her tears, and that's icky.
Gross.
Please don't do that. There was like a point to it. He was like, "You taste pathetic too," or something like that, because he is very mean at the beginning of
that. Was.
But I'm fine with the meanness, honestly. But licking her tears?
That's weird.
I don't like it.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. And we can talk about Julian is definitely very mean.
Yeah.
Very direct.
The mirror scene?
There is a mirror scene.
The mirror scene is nuts.
It is so nuts. She's like, "Oh, I'm ugly," basically.
Talked about how she was bullied because of her looks.
Yes, and he forces her to stand in front of a mirror, and he just basically berates her.
He's like, "You are a freak show.
You're a freak show. You're pathetic. Look at all this."
And then he gives her a hickey.
Yeah, and then it gets hot somehow. What?
I was not expecting that scene to go that way.
Maybe that's my ick. I'm gonna go with that's my ick. The transition into that. I'm not a fan of that.
Absolute mean to giving her a hickey was pretty.
Yeah,
that was pretty hard.
That was a hard right turn.
Yeah.
Like that was out of left field, dude.
Yes, I was not expecting it at all. Did not see it coming. I was expecting him to pull her to the mirror and say, "Look at how beautiful you are." And
same. I was like, "You're so beautiful," but he goes, "You are a freak show."
Yeah. It was awful. It was like you deserve everything that comes to you because you embody the behavior that they think, or something fucking crazy like that. And then they're like, and then it transitioned into them fucking being crazy for each other. I'm like, I don't think that was the message we were going for, guys. Like, we might have misinterpreted some kind of signs here. Because you should be upset by that.
Yeah. You should be a little more upset. The reactions are not what I want them to be.
And like, she mentions it in his POV. Like, they're at, I don't know, they're out of the bar again. And she's wearing a dress, and he's like, she's proudly showing off my mark on her. He never calls it a hickey. He calls it his mark. And she's like wearing it like a badge of honor, and she's super proud of it as she hangs out with the Sacred Sea people, but that it called her territory.
It's a little wild, but
I'm here for some redemption.
We're here for the ride. I think that there's a place for this to go, and I think it could end up really good. Plus, it's totally different than other fantasies like this that we've read, for sure. There's definitely scenes that I did not see coming.
For sure.
Killing a goat, for one.
Oh my god.
In the woods.
Fucking goat scene's crazy.
Oh, they're trying to break their curse. That's why they killed the goat.
Yes. They're trying to break their curse, so they're killing a goat, and she just happens upon it with Monday, her co-worker. And she sees them kill this goat, and then she runs away and leaves Monday behind.
Leaves Monday to the wolves.
to the wolves and didn't even think about her. Didn't even think about her until the next day.
Like at work. She was like,
work.
oh, hey, Monday. Sorry I left you.
I'm glad you're
Thoughts
alive.
were
Yeah, that's
It was
crazy.
wild.
Speaking of characters, I do like Monday. She is one of the only sacred sea people that we've seen that I'm like not genuinely icked out by. I do think Monday wants what's best for Fallon.
Yeah, I could see that.
She wants
I'm
to
with
protect her.
Yeah. I like Monday.
Excuse me.
Well, let's see. Should we get to favorite quotes?
Yeah, do we have any
Sure.
questions?
Do you have any more questions, Morgan? I don't have any questions.
I don't think so. I think maybe we should touch on the three sisters because I think they're going to be a big part of the story.
Yeah, let's do
Oh,
it.
yes. So there's three sisters.
Sullivan sisters, I think.
Yeah, they're
Fable.
part of the Sacred Sea. Fable.
Yes.
Adora.
Ivy and Adora or something, I think.
Dora. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those three,
Adora's something. Something's up with her.
Yeah.
Because she essentially... Sorry, go ahead.
No, something's up with her and Kane because she's like, I'll step down or whatever.
Yeah,
Kane.
like she has some kind of like territorial thing with him.
Yeah.
So it appears that she might be aware of this, I don't know, hierarchy of like what Fallon would represent. Like maybe she knows how important she is to the witch's story. But she has like this distaste in her mouth for Fallon that's, I mean, pretty undeserved.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
and like the only one I like is I think Fable.
I feel like Fable's a pretty likable character.
Yeah, and she had a bit of a thing with the
Phoenix, the bartender.
Who is another Hollow Heathen. But they obviously that didn't work out.
I don't know if they've actually had a physical thing or she just really likes him.
Yeah, she tried to get with him or something.
It gets confusing because we never actually hear anything either or.
Yeah.
There's just vibes.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely something with these three sisters. We also see Julian's sister who comes to the house and has a thing with another Hollow Heathen.
I feel like that one gives best friend's brother.
Yeah, best friend's brother vibe because she's a teenager. Let's not forget.
Or brother's best friend. Sorry, brother's best friend.
Brother's best friend, yeah. So
and Beth seems like the only reasonable one, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Pretty much. The only normal one.
Maybe more so than Julian.
Maybe more so, yes. Absolutely.
Love a Jolie, though.
Yes. Always love a Jolie.
Okay. Do you guys want to roll into favorite quotes then?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. You do yours, Morgan.
Okay. Mine came pretty dang early. Mine's in chapter 1. But it said... So it was right when Fallon rolls into town and she's kind of taken in the scene. And she said... it was as if the devil handcrafted Salem's lot with black feathered quill and ebony ink on a tattered canvas, then blindly dropped his creation in amusement to see what could come of it, how the people would accommodate, and they did. So I think that's kind of fun in telling, I don't know, just paints a fun little picture of the town and the spooky vibes. So
yeah,
I like that.
Into the spooky vibes. Give into the spooky vibes. My favorite quote is chapter 15, and it's, "We didn't make sense, but as I stood before her, she saw all the things in me that felt too messed up. She pulled me back into the person I'd abandoned a long time ago. Fallon looked past the curse, and therefore I couldn't look past her."
That's where his redemption from the mirror scene comes in.
Yes, I can see the potential for him.
What do you got,
So
Chandler?
mine is actually chapter 5, and a little background. Her job is a mortician. She is a mortician, and so there's obviously a dead body, and she's doing her merchant thing, and his name is Tom Gordon, and she says, the girl who loved Tom Gordon, he had given his heart to her that day, a heart that was no longer his to fail. So this guy dies of heart failure, and I just think that's beautifully, tragically beautiful. Like his heart was not allowed to fail. And it did. And it, aw.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm into that. It kind of shows, I don't know, how poetic Nicole is in the writing. Like, she's just, I think it's really well written.
Yeah,
It is
same.
very well written.
Agreed.
Yeah, she's fun. So what do you guys think overall, how are we feeling about it? Let's go into that a little.
Okay.
I'm hoping we get some answers
Yes.
to our theories next week. I'm ready for some answers. I'm ready to learn what's going to happen, and I want to know if our theories are correct or not.
Yes, I'm definitely skeptical, but I'm hoping for a little change. I just don't like not knowing everything. So I definitely want some answers, and I could see the potential. I could definitely end up loving this book if it moves along. But love it so far.
Yeah, I think the way it's written, it's kind of sucked me in pretty well. So I'm a pretty big fan of this, having only read the first 15 chapters. I'm pretty invested in it. So hopefully it holds to the standard that I'm keeping it at. But
Yes. Well, let's hope. All right, guys. I think that's all we have for our next episode. We are going to read more of Hollow Heathens, and we are going to read chapter 16 through 35 and the extra titled chapter called The Consequence of Betrayal. So,
All right. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you liked our ramblings, please tune in next week and follow us on social media. Book recs and drink recs are always welcome. Until next time.